everyone, it's time for another Gunpla review. This time we are looking at the OZ-06MS Leo. This is the standard grunt suit from Mobile Suit Gundam Wing, for those who are familiar with that series. For those who are not, this is essentially the suit that the opposing forces use, and they get wrecked really hard. Which doesn't make the suit a bad suit, it just means they needed someone to be the fodder to show how badass the Gundams actually are in that series. Here it is, fully built, and I just knocked off one of the little engine thingies. Look at that. We're gonna have to talk about that. There are some pieces that I do find have difficulty sticking on, to a point that I almost decided to use some glue tack on it, but I'm actually not, because it pops right back in with no problem, see? But the hip here, the waist here is also incredibly loose as well. Many pieces I find to be a bit loose on this one. And one of the problems with that is the lack of the polycaps. There's really not that many in here. That being said, you do get some decent flexibility here on the knee and the leg. There are no skirts to worry about. There's decent pivoting here of the foot. This little thing wedges around a little bit, but it can pop right off of its little peg relatively easily. In fact, a lot of things here feel a little more loose than I'd like them to. It is a decent beginner's kit, but again, some of the looseness of some of the parts does bother me. But there's some really cool things here, like the shield holds the beam sabers inside. If you recall watching Zex pull his beam saber out of his shield, it is there. This little armor piece here can move a little bit. It has no stickers, making it a very newbie-friendly suit. Comes together relatively quickly. I mean, I take time with how I build mine, and I still got it done in only a couple hours. It only comes with the standard machine gun. It looks pretty cool. I mean, I always like this design, especially with the drum magazine right here. And overall, it looks pretty cool. It stands up decently on its own with no real problem. And for those of you who are customizer types, you can customize this relatively easily due to the fact that it's only one color, so you can kind of do whatever you want. While custom Leos are not a common thing in Gundam Wing, I feel that any kind of builder who might want to just have a little fun with it could always make their own personal squadron colors or what have you out of a Leo if they'd like. There's not much in terms of extra parts that you aren't seeing right now. You basically got another one of the little shoulder thingies, so you can actually have both shoulders, no shield, if you'd like. And, of course, a little kind of the shorter style beam saber blade. But it's fine, as this is a grunt unit, you don't expect it to have the full long blade, and would separate it from, say, Wing or any of the other units that have beam sabers. So 2 blades in case you want to dual wield. It's up to you. But most importantly, the instructions make this incredibly beginner-friendly. We look right here. You can see that they actually do mark off the parts that you need to find for each step. It's generally really helpful. While I didn't need that kind of assistance, as this isn't my first kit, not by a long shot, it is nice for any beginner. In fact, if this was one of my first kits, I would have really appreciated that. But for any beginner, this is a really good place to start, especially if you're a fan of Gundam Wing. The unit doesn't have a lot of complicated parts. It doesn't have a whole bunch of runners, as it is essentially one color. And it can be built in a very limited amount of time. Now, the drawbacks, of course, are the fact that, like I said, some parts feel a little loose. And, of course, as a grunt suit, it's not as exciting as, say, Wing or Heavy Arms or anything like that. But still kind of cool. You get some decent posability out of it, for sure. I mean, the arms and legs do stay where they're supposed to, despite the fact of the lack of the polycaps, which I do like. And if you do have any expansion sets, you do have little slots here on the sides to allow for those parts and pieces. So for anyone who does happen to have those, or if you get any kind of expansion item, weapon packs or anything like that, you have that option. But more importantly, if you have the full weapon set Leo, you can just have this Leo equip some of that gear just as easily, with no real problems, which is awesome. Overall, I'm giving this a huge recommendation, especially if you are a mark for the After Colony universe like I am. This is an easy build. It's relatively inexpensive. I would say its SRP is around $10, more or less. I'd probably say somewhere between $9 to $12, depending on your location and where you're buying it from. And they're relatively easy to find. I found them at almost any store that sells Gunpla stuff. So not only can you find them easily enough, but if you want a troop build and have, some extra guys backing up your tall geese or a whole load of Leos for Sandrock to fight, by all means, you can do it. I hope this has informed your purchasing decision, and until next time, keep on building, and I'll see you at the tavern.